Yesterday, a grand jury announced that it would not be charging any of the officers involved in the death of Breonna Taylor for her death. It also announced that one officer, Brett Hankison, would be charged with wanton endangerment for the way that he fired bullets into other apartments near Breonna Taylor. In other words, nobody is being held accountable for the death of Breonna Taylor.
The grand jury voted to return an indictment against Detective Hankison for 3 counts of wanton endangerment for wantonly placing the 3 individuals in apartment 3 in danger of serious physical injury or death.
Some people asked me how I felt about it. They asked if I was disappointed by the verdict. No, I am not disappointed by this verdict. You see, disappointment implies expectation. This is what I expected to happen. This is what I always expect to happen in cases like this. First, I always expect them to ignore the death of black people, particularly black women, girls, and femmes, but all black people. It's only when we have uprisings and outrage, it's only when we protest, it's only when we have memes that we even are able to put enough attention on the case that we shame, or not even shame because they don't have any shame, that we force the state to deal with the case itself. I expected that to happen. I expect them to criminalize us in death, the same way they do Trayvon, the same way they do Renisha McBride, the same way they do Sandra Bland. I expected them to make us believe that Breonna Taylor was responsible for her own death by making her seem as if she had a criminal past, by talking about who she dated, by talking about what she did in her private life. I expected them to create a cloud of doubt around her and her life so that people would be more ready to say she doesn't deserve justice. I expect that. I expect some self-interested, self-aggrandizing Negro who is willing to sell his people out for his own career advancement. I'm talking about Daniel Cameron. I expect one of them to emerge. I expect them to be the front man, the face of white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal empire. I expect them to show up and make it seem like it's fair because a black man is in charge, when in fact that black man is willing to sell out his entire people in order to get a spot in the U.S. Senate or a spot on Trump's Supreme Court. I expect that kind of an outcome, and that's exactly what we saw at the press conference, where he peddled lie after lie and tried his best to conjure up a crocodile tear to make us believe that he actually cared about the death of Breonna Taylor and that he's going to pursue the case of Brett Hankison vigorously. It's all bullshit.
Evidence shows that officers both knocked and announced their presence at the apartment. The officers' statements about their announcement are corroborated by an independent witness who was near in a proximity to apartment 4. In other words, the warrant was not served as a no-knock warrant.
I expect them to put forward evidence that cannot be corroborated, making us believe that they knocked on the door and Breonna Taylor just didn't answer. I expect them to defend property over people. Understand that wanton endangerment is not about the life of Breonna Taylor or her boyfriend. It's about the neighbors. It's about what happened to the apartment upstairs or downstairs. It's about property, not about anybody's life. I expect them to do that. I expect them to have us believe that everything would have been okay if not for Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who fired a gun in the house because somebody was breaking in, it sounded like, because somebody came in without knocking with guns. But once again, black people get blamed for their own death. I expect them to lock down the state so that when we rebel, when we push back, when we fight back, when we stand up against this wicked system, they can make us seem like the savages and the animals and justify killing more of us. I expect all of it. I expect Donald Trump to act like this is all okay, to gin up his own white supremacist base in the weeks ahead of an election year. I expect all of it. So no, I'm not disappointed. This is exactly what I expected them to do. But now it's time for us to do what we need to do. We need to take to the streets. We need to continue to show them that our voices will be heard, and that when we don't get justice, there will be no peace. We must register to vote. We must vote out Trump. We must vote out Cameron at our first opportunity. We must vote out every single person who reinforces the imperatives of white supremacy. We must vote out every single person that will not create a new system for us. And we must begin to believe in a new system. I'm an abolitionist. To me, justice is never locking up killer cops. But locking up killer cops is better than letting them go free like we saw yesterday. We gotta imagine an abolitionist world. We gotta imagine a world without police, because as we saw in the case of Breonna Taylor, and as we see in the verdict, the courts, the police, none of it is designed to give us justice. None of it is designed to protect, defend, or affirm black life. We need a new way. We need a new vision. We gotta yell like hell, fight like hell. We gotta tear this thing down if we have to, but we must get justice. Not just for Breonna Taylor, but for all black lives.